This is the individual, Robert Harry Whittemore, the child molester I mentioned, who was the one who wore a wire on me, and then they used the transcript to try to give me a psych evaluation. And here's his paperwork from Michigan. This is who Kristen Keller wanted on the street rather than me. This is who they relied on to wear a wire on me and tried to get me to say things that were, well, entrapping, and covered it up by just bringing it to life. Covering it up by bringing the transcripts in at the last moment during a hearing. Alright, now here is the result of the appeal on delinquency charges. You notice one of them is missing. I wasn't found guilty of one. That was actually Redden's case where she said that she was coerced by her mommy, the cop, and the prosecutor. This is why no one wants me to get this, because no one wants to see her saying that she was coerced into what was said about me. Now, again, to actually Redden's statement, like I said, written on a plain white sheet of paper for Duckworth. Her mom signed it, she signed it, but Duckworth wrote it. This raises some questions. Now, these questions don't really want to be answered. Nobody wants them to be asked. Here's the probable cause that Duckworth wrote down here. This was on the warrant, and it's a little bit different from what Ashley wrote in her statement, but as you can tell, everything is on me and Ashley. And that's important, because why was her charge dismissed if that was the case? Now, here's the thing. Like I said, puts all the blame on me and Ashley. Problem is, there was someone else there, according to Leah's statement, who was there before me, and I don't know what they brought or didn't bring. I don't know what was there. I just know that there were certain things going on that didn't make sense. And this has to go back to what was going on at the mall. This is what we got to talk about. This is the thing that's probably going to take some people off. But we're going to discuss it. We have to discuss it. Because, well, that's where everything started. See, I met Ashley before I ever met Leah. And I met Ashley with her friend Kim. Now, Kim, bear in mind I was 25, who was, I think, 14 at the time, tried to kiss me. I peeled away. She wanted me to give her a hug and kind of press up on me and want me. No, she was a minor, it wasn't going to happen. And a little while after that, Ashley would come by the kiosk, and I had a job working with, younger people, so I was tend to communicate with them, talk to them, stuff like that, so it wasn't a big deal. And, well, Ashley would come by herself and everything else, and I was like, well, where are your friends at? Why aren't you hanging out with them and everything else? And her response was, they're whores. And I didn't know that these 13, 14, 15-year-old girls were getting in cars with 20-some-year-old dudes and making out and giving them head and stuff like that. I didn't find that out till later. But the thing was, Ashley didn't want to be put in a predicament. We kind of discussed this a little bit, me and her, and because I asked her why, and she was like, well, they're whores, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of harsh. And she didn't really go into detail over it. She just said that, they were getting in the cars with these guys, and she didn't want to get in the cars with them. She didn't feel safe, and she was worried about, them trying to do something to her when she got high or whatever. And so I was like, that's cool, you hang out here. And so she hung out with me, my cousin, and my boss so much that she was almost like part of the team, honestly. And then when I would get off work, because I would be at the mall from the time the mall opened to the time the mall closed. You think, actually been there all summer long from the time the mall opened to the time the mall closed. Actually, she'd hang out in Garfield's till about 1 when they closed. And during that time, from, till 12, at least, when the mall closed, I pretty much just, I was there. And I kind of hung out a little bit to give her a little bit of a safe place to go. I was 25 years old. I wasn't really too sure about what was going on. I'm not the girl's parent. I'm not, I just kind of did this big brother thing of looking out for her, giving her a safe place. And that was kind of where my mentality was. we kind of discussed it a little bit, and like I was asking her, if all your friends are doing it, why aren't you doing it? And Ashley was like, well, I'm worried about getting pregnant, I'm worried about my reputation, I'm worried about catching an STD. So, like I told her, it's actually kind of an adult way of looking at it because you're thinking about your future. And I kind of respected her about that, which is kind of the reason I decided to look out for it. And so, in that context, I'm going to film some more of this, but in that context, that was kind of how I started associating with her. In fact, it wasn't until school started and I had a Friday to myself that I didn't have to work, that I actually had got my phone number from my boss to call me because she wanted me out at the mall because she was getting pressured by her friends to get into vehicles and stuff like that with these guys, and she wanted somewhere safe to go, and not be with them. So she actually begged me over the phone, please come out here, I need you, it's important. And so that kind of had me hanging out with her even when I didn't work, at least for a couple days out of the week. So I guess before I go telling you any more about me and Ashley, I gotta tell you about this little joke we had. Inside joke. Nobody ever caught on to what it was because we never wanted to tell Leah Kirk. We were making fun of her. Alright, we had this joke, this inside joke with us. I'll never tell. Now, what it came out of was Leah Kirk basically asked, if I'd date her. And I was like, no. For one, I don't want to go to jail. And she was like, well, I won't say anything. And I was like, yeah, last thing I ever hear before I fucking go to prison. And actually chimes off with, I'll never tell. So we had this running gag. Fucking, I'll never tell. And Leah never caught on. Like, she would spout the shit off too. Like, whenever she'd say something trying to provoke me or entice me or whatever. And I should be like, I'll never tell. And yeah, so no one ever caught on to it, and we never really told anyone what it was about because we never really wanted to embarrass Leah. So, just to give you an idea of some of the little jokes we had, in addition to that little joke about I'll never tell, we also had this other little joke, which kind of spun onto it. I would say something smart ass. Ashley would punch me. And one day I figured I'd embarrass her because I was like, quit hitting on me. I told you you're too young. That might have actually been what inspired the whole thing with Leah. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's been a while. So anyway, quit hitting on me. I told you you're too young. And, oh my God, then we'd pop off with I'll never tell. And everyone somehow got this idea that, I don't know, me and Ashley were sweet on each other or whatever. And alright, we used to have this book, Dark Side of the Zodiac, set at the kiosk. I got out of Walden's. And me and Ashley are both Gemini. And as we're reading it, it's talking about the bad things about Gemini personalities. And this is one of the things it says in there is that we are attracted to shiny objects. And I just held up my car keys and started shaking them, which is going to attract anyone's attention, not just Geminis who are attracted by shiny objects. And everyone looks, and I'm like, look, shiny. And of course, actually laughed and hit me. It's pretty common. In fact, Leah had punched me too. And dude, they hit hard for fucking girls. But everybody would be like, holy shit, because they would hit me enough to echo through my chest. And everybody's like, holy shit, they're hitting him hard, and I'm just shrug it off and be like, okay. But hell, that's 25 coming right out of the army, fucking solid muscle. So, yeah. So let's keep it simple. I shoot these little videos waiting to catch a ride for work. Yeah. On the way to work. Yeah. Incidentally, more proof that I'm not a convicted sex offender at grade school across from my house. I live across the street, and sex offenders aren't allowed within like 1,000 feet of a grade school. So I'm within about 20, maybe. So, anyway, I shoot these little videos explaining stuff. Pretty much anytime, anywhere, even at work. Strange thing about this, I just want to take the time to point out that, I'm the only person who does the shit that I do. Videotaping cops in prosecutor's office, especially when U.S. Supreme Court cases say that they're supposed to accept all exculpatory evidence no matter the source. Yeah. Read the fine print, guys. I'm the only one doing that shit. And I'm the guy who kind of set the standard for fucking with the cops and their little informants. Yeah, I think that's you, Thomas Wayne Kirk. I don't care how much you claim fucking, all this bullshit about trying to legitimize your criminal history. Honestly, the way the police act in protecting you and the way they try to cover everything up for you, and, it seems kind of like you're a high-level federal informant to me. It's just my opinion. So it's late at night, and I'm walking around in the dark, pondering, thinking my thoughts, and I decided to shoot a video. Well, this is, whatever it is. So, let me explain some stuff. I didn't really want to go into detail, and I'm not going to go into detail. And if you want me to go into detail, fuck off. But there's just one other aspect. You could tell when I'm thinking I don't shoot these videos with a script. So I was thinking, and you could tell there was a process running through my mind on whether or not I should say something concerning Ashley Redden. One other aspect of our association, I guess. And that was this. When I first met her, when she was around Kim, Ashley had mentioned that she was how does she put it? A self-mutilator. Now that is a clinical term for a cutter. And I'm not going to go into all the things that entails. You can look it up and take whatever you want for it. But, there's a statistically high average of very, very bad things happening that cause that response. And here's the thing. So, as someone who has been through some traumatic experiences in my childhood, not as an adult, in my childhood, I'm kind of... It was kind of a soft spot for me, and one of those things is a lot of physical violence. There's others, I'm not going to go into them, and as someone who's experienced that level of physical violence, who has experienced things of that nature, I felt kind of a little protective. I'm not even going to defend that. I just felt protective of her based on my own experiences and based on what she said and the fact that I study psychology and two together. And so, I'm going to mention this for the viewers. If you're going to get into learning about things, you should get into learning about these things called cognitive distortions. Cognitive distortions or cognitive biases are commonly held biases that we have towards how we interpret stimuli. Stimuli is any nerve signal going to your brain, and your brain has responses to this, and in the brain's responses to this, you have a level of biases that you cannot break away from, that is a part of your thinking. Now, the only thing you can do is be conscious of these biases, and if you're conscious of these biases, you understand that you have them, and I have them, and so in that regard, she kind of triggered one of my cognitive biases, and it resulted in me feeling kind of protective over her, which is why I did a lot of things that I probably shouldn't have done in the sake of being kind of a protector. Normally I don't write things down, but this kind of, I needed to write it down. So, there's a difference between can't and won't. Silence proved nothing. It was observing of the events. When people think you're harmless, they show you their real face, because they don't believe there's anything you can do about it. So, you thought outing me over the child porn charges would have done me harm? You didn't realize it was a lie I told to get the West Virginia State Police to look. Become actively aware of Thomas Keller and Karen Carlock. Connection to Deputy Jason Redden and Trooper Duckworth, and perhaps even investigating, though I doubt that would happen. Cover up for Tommy and Jason. Yeah, the whole thing about getting away with less than his son. Or charge me and force that recording into light. Instead, what it did was it showed that they falsified evidence to remove it and cover it up. And that's more dangerous than you realize, especially for you. So, instead, you've proven that you're out to get me. That's easy enough. That the police and the courts are corrupt beyond reform. And that they have a history of protecting you, Thomas Wayne Kirk. Just as they have in the past. And it shows that you have a connected pattern of behavior with the police, and it shows whether you are on their payroll or they're on yours is irrelevant to the connection. Yeah, we get to play with that, don't we? See, you can use your, criminal status, and your reputation or whatever to point at me, but I've put that video up there of Lieutenant Deeds, and I put that video of me being all happy about getting arrested because I knew it was a setup, and I knew I was going to get evidence, and I knew I was going to just, don't worry, we'll go into that later. Anyone associated with you becomes a potential police informant. That's horrible for the criminals because they don't want to do that. Or a
criminal co-defendant if they're somehow law enforcement or one of these ethical, moral people of society. Which works great for me. All based on who it is most destructive to their illusions of being part of society and where they fit in. Yeah. See, the fact that you're just now realizing I planned this shit years ago, that I wanted to get the FBI agents involved. Now I have Judge Berger. A federal judge implicated in your bullshit. Oh man, this is fun. I just want you to know. I could talk about little yellow houses on Washington Street, but I'm not going to do that. Oops, I did. Anyways. You're not as invisible as you think. Oh, and it occurred to me, Kirk, don't think I'm trying to threaten you or anything. I just want everyone to be perfectly clear on who I'm talking about. Oh, hey, Kirk, I want to know, should we start talking about those government security jobs you had after you got out of the Army? Because that would pretty much link you to working with federal agents and all that shit you see on the dark web and those illicit websites. Well, I don't think they want that. Now, Mr. Kirk, I'm just showing this to show that you're a veteran. You spent 20 years in the military. And I want to say something else. This right here verifies the fact that you had, if you look down into the post-military government security roles following retirement. Now, that puts you in close proximity to federal agents, and, well, for someone who's claiming Aryan Brotherhood, that doesn't look good. I was going to finish my story, but I think I'm going to end it here and just let you guys look and see what Thomas Rainkirk really is about.